Hello, I'm back doing a 97 Series 1 Stadium Club cards. Some of the better ones. I'm going to whip through them pretty quick, but these are some awesome cards. One of my favorite affordable sets of football cards of all time. Junior Seau making the tackle on a Kansas City Chief. I'm not going to show the backs on hardly any of them, but just to show you the first one, what they all kind of look like, except different players. Card number 1, Junior Seau, probably a Hall of Famer. This is Marcus Allen. He is in the Hall of Fame, running by the Packers defense. That's a decent one. Another one, Darrell Green. I think he just went into the Hall of Fame in 2008. You can see him. He's the best cornerback, I believe, ever to live. This is just an example of one of the rookies, Jim Druckenmiller, who I guess now is kind of still in the NFL. I'm not really sure. But it's a decent card. The backs on these are a little different, though. That's the only reason I'm showing you that. He's also kind of a decent player. Here's Terrell Davis, Bronco guy. 2 Super Bowl rings with John Elway running through the defense of the New England Patriots. Awesome picture shots there. Here's a person who was a great player who is now deceased, Derek Thomas, Kansas City Chief. You can see him lining up, getting ready to get into the play. Here we go on to Deion Sanders, who's done his ESPN days. Looks like he's looking at you, kind of watching the referee, I believe. Here's probably another Hall of Famer, Jerome Bettis, won his Super Bowl ring against my Seahawks, which I really don't like, but he did win it, obviously. Going through the Houston Oilers defense there. This one is Warren Moon, Hall of Famer, played with the Seahawks. Nice picture. You can see that guy right by my thumb getting ready to come at him. Awesome picture. Again, I keep saying that, but these are probably some of the best photograph shots you'll ever see on a card. This is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Nobody really special in the sense of the NFL, but the only reason I'm showing it is because the name Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we know, was a basketball player with the LA Lakers. But you can see him going through the Oakland Raiders defense there. Here we go on to Thurman Thomas, just going into the Hall of Fame through the Miami defense. You can see him sprinting around. He's like 22's getting ready to smack him, but I don't know if he ever did. Here's Tim Brown, probable Hall of Famer. Great card. Looking upfield, I love his eyes in this. You could actually see the whites in his eyes. Here's a Michigan boy, Jim Harbaugh. He never really had a chance, but I liked him as a quarterback for Michigan. You can see 99 getting ready to take him down with his legs spinning. Here's Kevin Green. The only reason I'm showing him, not a great super football player. He was decent, but he was a WWE guy or something. He was a pro wrestler for a while, and you could tell he looks like he's getting in his pose for wrestling. So I kind of wanted to show that one. Then we have Troy Aikman, who now does TV commentary, Hall of Famer. You can see him throwing over number 58. Looks like he's got the pass going there. Another great photography shot. All of these are awesome photography shots. Sterling Sharp. No, this is Shannon Sharp, Sterling's brother, who was a Bronco, won the Super Bowls, then went on to Baltimore, won a Super Bowl there. Has a very decisive opinion on a lot of stuff. Here's Mark Brunell, another great dive. I love the picture on this. You can see him going right through the Houston Oilers guy's arm. And then look at the grunt on his face. He looks like he's trying really hard. Here's another Hall of Famer, Barry Sanders. Again, I love the eye shots here. I think he's going through, I can't really tell what defense he's going through, but he seems to be moving pretty quick in that image, his eyes. Here's Brett Favre retiring in 2008. You can see him with making the call against the Chicago Bears, I think, but I'm not for sure. I love this photograph. Brett Favre, sure first ballot Hall of Famer, calling out the plays. Then we have Sean Springs, who played for Ohio State. Not a great player and not a great team in my aspect, but they have won some Super Bowls. And he was like a top draft cornerback for a while. It looks like he's going through the Bengals there. I can't really tell. But Here's Ty Detmer. The only reason I'm showing this was he was a Colorado guy. I'm almost certain. His brother played at BYU, but he was a Colorado guy going through, I think, the Giants defense there. Then we have Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp is almost for certain a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not for sure if he won a Super Bowl or not, but I know he was a great player at a time. Then we have, this one is Wesley Walls, tight end. I'm almost certain he played with some big teams in the Cowboys era. I'm not for sure again. The only reason I'm showing this one is I love the picture of him. This is the defensive man, number 98, making the tackle. I love the image of him flying through the air, getting ready to smash the quarterback. That's the only reason I'm showing this. Ty Law, who went on to play for quite a while with the New England Patriots. Again, I love the image. Great cornerback. I think he was a cornerback or a free safety. I'm not for sure. This is Pat Barnes. He played in, I think, another league. I think he played in the XFL. That's the reason I'm showing this. His rookie year. I think he came out of California Golden Bears College. Then we go on to Irvin Fryer, who had a very long career in the NFL, going through the Detroit Lions defense, I'm pretty certain. You can see the guy in the back, the little yellow stripes, another great player. Then we move on to Rodney Harrison, who is now playing with the New England Patriots. He was a Charger initially, going through those Raiders. It looks like he had just made an interception going through the defense. Now we have Herman Moore, who was a Lion, one of my favorite wide receivers of all time, going through another Raiders. They show a lot of defense, and I just love the images on these cards. Then we move on to Derek Brooks. I know for certain he won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the early 2000s. Looks like he's lining up against the Cardinals. We move on to Jimmy Smith, borderline first ballot Hall of Famer. You can see those eyes looking right at you. He's looking at the ball coming down. Love those images. I'm just in love with these cards. Then we have Stan Humphries, who was a great, great tough quarterback for the Chargers. I remember seeing some times where his jaw was bleeding on the field. Great player. Corey Dillon played with the New England Patriots after he was done with the Cincinnati Bengals. Great player again. Here's Ray Lewis, who I personally don't have any appreciation for, but he did win his Super Bowl. Great defensive player, but not one of my favorites. Reason I show this, Jim Everett. I remember the Jim Rome show where he called him Chris Everett, and there was a fight on TV. That's the only reason I'm showing this. But again, you can see the image of his eyes looking downfield when you have the card in your hand. This is Ken Norton Jr., decent player. I'm pretty certain he won some Super Bowls in his career. The only reason I'm showing this, his dad was a big boxing Hall of Famer. Then we move on to the Broncos here. This is Marcus Allen. This is Alfred Williams, who now does a sports talk radio show in Denver, making the tackle on a Hall of Famer, Marcus Allen. Then when we're almost done here, we move on to Keith Jackson, who was a big name tight end for a while. Famous name, not sure how long he played in the NFL or if he is that great of a player, but he was a decent player. Orlando Pace's rookie, who is probably a first ballot Hall of Famer offensive lineman. You don't see those very often in the sense of rookie cards for offensive linemen anymore. Mike Tomczak, the only reason I like this picture is you can see the crowd in the back watching. Everybody's watching that ball come out of his hands. More images, Andre Reed, who is probably in the Hall of Fame at some point in time. Then we're getting down to the final end here. This is Quadre Ishmael, who we know played for a while as Brother Rocket. And last but not least, we have Ray Caruth, who this camera's really screwing up on me, so I'm kind of pissed, but murdered somebody. Really sad. Thanks for watching. See you later.